Welcome to Fifth Quarter Extra, built by Trinity Homes. I'm Joe Mercado. If you missed any part of Fifth Quarter, highlights can be seen at WDTV.com. Tonight on the program, we'll take you behind the scenes at Pony Lewis Field for Matt Lacey's debut as Morgantown head coach last week. We'll introduce you to University High senior Isaiah Utt, who looks to power the Hawks back to the playoffs, and we'll have more highlights from around the state. But first, we are joined live in studio by South Harrison head coach Brad Jett. His Hawks moving to 2-0 on the season with a victory over Valley Wetzel tonight. Coach, when you look at the first half execution of your offense, you had to like what you see, finding the end zone 5 times. Well,
we got things going a little bit there. The opening drive, we took it down in 2 plays and scored, and then we were fortunate enough to recover a fumble on an ensuing kickoff, and I don't know how many plays it took then, but we got things rolling. Before you know it, we were up 14-0, and it kind of just snowballed after that. So we were fortunate. We had a lot of kids get to play, and once again, got a W.
41-6 the final. As we take a look at some of the highlights, we just saw the opening touchdown of the game, Freddie Canary finding the end zone, as he did a couple of times tonight. The play of your line, I know the backfield gets a lot of attention. That's kind of the way it usually is, but the play of your line, I know you had some losses to graduation, a couple All-State guys. Are you seeing, after the first 2 games, a level of maturation that you're comfortable with?
Yeah, we're starting to find 5 or 6 young men, 7 young men up front that can do the job. We had a young man fill in tonight that's done an excellent job for us, Logan Peck. We moved him from quarterback to an up-back position, and I think he's maybe 140 pounds soaking wet, and he did an excellent job for us tonight. He hooked on sweeps. He kicked out when we ran our power game. He caught a couple balls on passes in the flats. We ran a couple counters with him. He did a great job for us. Our other up-back that we had been using, Jonathan Whitehair, got injured against Doddridge, and with both of them coming back Monday, should have both of them back Monday, which will give us some more depth back there and give each one of those young men a rest. But the offensive line did a nice job. I thought our first 4 drives, and then Valley threw, I think, everything but the kitchen sink at us on defense. I mean, one series it was a 5, a 6. They came back with a 44, and then some of a 43 and a 54, and I mean. I've never seen that many defenses played in one night.
As we take a look at some of your highlights, as we just saw from your 42-0 victory over Doddridge County to open the season last week, the play of your backfield and the fact that you have a couple of juniors in Camden Barnett and Freddie Canary, how do they play off each other, and how much more dangerous are they because they have each other there alongside each other?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Joe, they're 2 real good backs. I was disappointed in their blocking for each other the first week, and we addressed that this week, and they did an excellent job, along with Logan and our freshman quarterback, Nate Wright. Our backfield is firing right now. Our offensive line is coming around. Those young men have worked hard, and they're doing what we ask of them right now. We're seeing a lot of stunning. We're seeing a lot of blitzing. People are loading us up in the box, and we're still moving the football, so we're very fortunate right now.
Defensively, 6 points allowed in your first 2 games, kind of a continuation from where you guys left off last year as the #1 scoring defense in Class A, where you allowed about 8 points a game. Is there anything that you're not pleased with defensively through 2 games?
Well, we were really, really great. We started 2 freshmen in the secondary tonight, and those 2 young men did an excellent job. Landon McFadden and Nate ended up playing both ways for us as a freshman, and they did a real nice job. Our whole defense, my defensive staff of Coach Mark Clayton and Zach Hayhurst is back with us as a secondary coach, and then Chris Underwood takes care of our D front, and those guys just come up with a game plan that's fantastic week in and week out. And once again, we just feel like we have our kids prepared to where better than anybody in the state. When we go out on Friday night, we think we've showed them everything that the team could possibly throw against us, and we're ready for it.
You've used the term freshman a couple of times so far. I think 2 years ago when we talked, and there was for the freshmen that are juniors now, there's obviously some nerves bringing in a guy that's a first-year player, but when you're able to plug those guys in and they do well, how much does that make you comfortable that they can jump in?
We're working on depth right now. In the first 2 games, we've got a lot of kids in, but those 2 young men stepping up is going to give us more depth. And we get Jonathan Whitehair back and Ryan Anderson back totally on both sides of the ball. It's going to give us more depth up front also. So right now with the situation, we're going to Grafton next week against an undefeated AA school, and we're just this little old country single A school, and we're going to make that trip up 50. So we're going to see what happens.
When we talked in the preseason, you said you wanted to make sure that this program still gets some statewide respect. It's early, but you're 2-0. Are you where you want to be through 2 games?
We have a lot of work and a lot of improvement to do. We sit down after the game, and the other coaches addressed them, and I sit down and I told them I was somewhat disappointed that I don't want them to peak in week 2. I don't want to be nowhere close to peaking in week 2. But we have so much talent sitting in that room that we haven't touched yet. And, that may be my fault. Usually when, 100% of the time we get beat, it's my fault. I mean, that's just the way it is. And, when they win, they've had a good ball game, done a good job. My assistants have done a good job. And right now we just got to work on getting better week to week. And, I'm very fortunate. I have 47 young men and a young lady, out with us. And, for a school our size to have that many, and the community support that we have, it's a great place to work.
You mentioned a young lady, Lauren Shriver, I believe 6 extra points last week, 4 tonight, if I'm not mistaken. 4 or 5? Okay.
5 tonight.
So how is she progressing?
She's doing well. I mean, she does a great job for us. We have a couple other kickers that we use. We use a freshman kicking off for us, the Colombo boy, and then Hunter Moore, who hasn't got the shots yet, because we have kickoffs all during the week. And who's the most accurate during the week is the one that will kick on Friday night. And Lauren has won the competition the last 2 weeks and has come in, and she's missed 1 out of, 6 last week, and 6. She's 11 to 12. So you really can't knock that.
2 more questions. Grafton, next week, as good as your defense has been, they've only allowed, I believe, 3 points in their first 2 games. What's the biggest challenge from what you've seen in years past? I know Rich Board's the new head coach, but what's the biggest challenge that Grafton presents?
Well, saw the highlights there, and I've just seen highlights. We'll trade film with them in the morning. Hopefully we can get with them and trade film with them in the morning. I was really looking to see more of Mike Skinner type football from Rich. I mean, I know he brought some assistants back that used to help Mike, and I thought we'd see some wing T and some pro eye, but it looked like against East Fairmont on the highlights there, they were a little bit more spread. So we'll have to see and break down things there. It's always a good football game, South Harrison and Grafton. You throw the records out, regardless of neither one of us. We could be 0-9 playing in the 10th week and it'd be a battle. It always has been. It always will be.
Lastly, we're now retired from your position as athletic director. Obviously, you're in a very busy season during football, but are you enjoying to at least step back a little bit and have some more family time while still coaching the Hawks?
I get to spend a lot of time with my grandson now. He comes to practice, and I get to spend some time with him. I've subbed for a couple days. I don't miss being athletic director at all. I'm enjoying myself now. I'm married to a wonderful woman who, when we go on the road, she drives my equipment truck. So, there's a lot of bonding there. But, overall, 32 years in the building, got a chance to step back. I still go back in and sub a little bit. It's fun being around the kids. I'm enjoying this because every day's Saturday.
Sounds good. That's South Harrison head coach Brad Jett, victorious tonight 41-6 over Valley Wetzel. Coach, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Best of luck the rest of the season. Coming up after the break, highlights from Wellsburg and Parkersburg as both Morgantown and University look to go 2-0. Fifth quarter, built by Trinity Homes, continues after this. A chance for both Morgantown City Schools to avenge losses from last fall tonight. University with payback on their minds at Parkersburg South. But first, Morgantown facing the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last November, the Brook Bruins. We take you up to Wellsburg for the highlights of this one. We're going to pick things up in the second half, and the Morgantown defense comes up with a big play here as Cameron Henderson interrupts the Brook drive in the biggest way possible. He intercepts it deep in his own territory, takes it all the way back the other way for a pick six. And that gets Morgantown to extend their lead, and they would do so right here. Logan Holgerson hands off to Maverick Wolfley for another touchdown, and they're not done. Joseph Turner then doing the honors here, taking it across. All Morgantown in a big way in this one as they win by the final of 36-0. They have not allowed a point in their first 2 games, and they will host Parkersburg South next week. Speaking of Parkersburg South, they were taking on the U tonight at the Erickson Stadium. We pick things up with University down 2-0 early, and the Hawks go to the air as Rodney Buckley hits Amir Richardson for a 28-yard gainer. That's deep into Patriots territory. That would set up Jonah Ferris with a 23-yard field goal opportunity, and that splits the uprights. The Hawks lead 3-2, yes, 3-2 at the half, and it would stay that way until early in the third quarter. Clay Bailey goes up to Hunter Cottrell. He pulls it in and goes 45 yards for the touchdown. That puts the Hawks up 10-2. UHS getting it done on defense as well. Adam Frisco shoots in on a blitz and brings down the quarterback to force a Patriot punt. Hawks dive down the field midway through the fourth quarter, and they put this one out of reach as Bailey floats it into the end zone. Cottrell pulls it in for a 13-yard score, and the U is 2-0. The Hawks knock off South by the final of 16-9. The Hawks will play host to Brook in their home opener next week. More scores from around the area tonight. In other games, the BU Bucks pick up a win on the road in their season opener, 32-27 at Hampshire. A couple more scores from around the area. Bishop Donahue knocks off Hunter by the final of 59-0, and the Ritchie County Rebels fall at Parkersburg Catholic by the final of 41-14. Coming up after the break, well, we just saw the Hawks at Parkersburg South. Coming up next, we'll hear from one of their biggest contributors, both figuratively and literally. Fifth Quarter Extra, built by Trinity Homes, continues in 2 minutes. In our last segment, we just saw the University High Hawks move to 2-0 with a 16-9 win at Parkersburg South. Well, 2 years ago, that very game altered the season for then sophomore Isaiah Utt. A broken foot cost him a good portion of that season, yet he returned in time for the Hawks' run to the state quarterfinals. Now a senior, Utt is the next in a long line of Division I prospects to come from the U. Shelby Cassesi reports.
There you go, big fella. Welcome to the world.
When Isaiah Utt was in elementary school, he enjoyed playing football as a linebacker, but as soon as he reached middle school and reached the weight requirement, his coach made him into a running back. Since then, Utt has been hooked on running the football. Now the 6'2", 268-pound senior leads the charge for a UHS team looking to bounce back after their first losing season since 1993.
Even in that season, we were like, all right, we've had enough of this. Being the younger guys, we knew we had another year we could come back from it. I think everybody took that, and we're gonna do as much as we can to fix that and just show people that we're not satisfied with 2-8.
As a AAA school, University consistently has upwards of 50 players on their football roster. It's rare for a freshman to ever see snaps at the varsity level at UHS, but since his first year there, Utt has never really allowed norms or opinions to define him. He saw significant snaps his freshman year as a Hawk and has been a prominent name on the roster ever since.
Probably about the middle of the second week his freshman year, we did some goal line stuff with the scout team against the varsity defense, and he was the fullback on the scout team, and he was just, he was just crushing us. And I mean, we were all just rolling our eyes and getting pretty excited. We said, well, he could play at the next level. There's no question he can play for the varsity, and right away we put him in as our short yardage expert, and it seemed to work out well. And then he's just progressed from there.
I loved it. I mean, I got to come in inside the 20 and score, and it was just awesome hearing this, like the fans and everybody yell when I scored. Just because I was a freshman, they would yell like he's a freshman and stuff. And I can remember that like it was yesterday because it was just such a cool experience.
Despite injury in his sophomore and junior seasons, Utt continued to return stronger than the year before. When doctors told him his broken ankle in his sophomore year would end his season, Utt managed to return for the final 2 weeks of that year, and during his first game back, broke the 100 yards rushing mark. His final number set a career high.
I kind of like took that and I was like, nah, I think I'm gonna come back because this is fun. I can't just sit here and watch them be out there and miss it all. So I went to rehab like the week after my surgery, and I just worked every week and got back in finally.
All of that experience has molded Utt into the leader and player he is today. He has caught the attention of several Division I coaches, which serves as even more motivation to produce this season.
He's not a yell, scream guy on the field. He's just a guy that just goes out and gets it done by action. And but I mean, he got in the weight room this year. I think he wanted to have a better year with everybody, and he kind of brought them along with him.
It all comes down to what happens on the field and what happens on film. So I just look to give them something to see this year.
In our final segment tonight, longtime Morgantown assistant coach Matt Lacey made his debut as the Mohegans frontman last week. We hear from his pregame locker room speech. That is next, as our behind-the-scenes segments puts a wrap on Fifth Quarter Extra, built by Trinity Homes. After 17 years on staff, Matt Lacey was named the new head coach at Morgantown High this summer. He has probably kicked around his ideas for his first pregame speech for a while, and he finally had the chance to break them out a week ago.
Bob Williams.
No, if it's auto, it's automatic. Like I could call red shade auto.
NDD, let's go. Get there, NDD. Good? Right? Go ahead. That first one, be patient, let that 15 come over. That's the one you want to check up on. 15 come over.
Ready, go! All right, let's go, other side. Go.
All the jibby jab, all that goes away right now. It's game time. Make plays. We control the defense. Inside, outside, guys. We control the defense. Everybody understand that.
Ain't nothing that can come.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let me tell you, I'm going to take you a trip on the future here. You know, in 10 years, we're all going to be in different places, but somebody from tonight's game is going to remember tonight's game. Why? Because of the play you're going to make. Because of the pancake block that you had. Jordan, you're going to say, remember that 90-yard touchdown run you had? Shaq, remember that one that you had? Maverick, remember when you sacked the quarterback? Tommy, when you got after the quarterback? That's what they're going to talk about. How many points we put up. Defense, they're going to talk about the shutout we pitched. They're going to remember tonight because of what you're going to do. Let's go!
Ben Eschenbaugh putting that together when we thank Matt for allowing us behind the scenes at Morgantown High. If you missed fifth quarter, built by Trinity Homes, highlights are being uploaded right now to WDTV.com. Thanks for joining us on fifth quarter and fifth quarter extra, and we'll see you back here next Friday night.